Hi, everyone. So let's talk about, okay, let's talk about Martha's Vineyard. Um, my overall, it's not a bad show, but with more and more episodes, I'm gonna say at this particular point, I'm a bit annoyed at how they crafted this show because you have all of the men minus Phil, who just came onto the scene. But you have all of the men who are absolutely, how can I say this? They are in a fraternity. They're trying to, and Amir, but even Amir, who's not in a fraternity, but they tend to be having like these more serious careers. And the women all went to college and they turned out to kind of have these very flaky careers like modeling and Playboy bunny and and it's I feel like they're not meeting the energy that the guys are bringing. And I feel that that is really unfortunate that you're not getting man for man, like women who are as, even if they went to Georgetown or these universities, they're absolutely not in this same type of sophisticated role that the men do. And I find that to be very disheartening because then you're making the women seem very, very shallow. And I'm not saying that that is how they are, but this is how you casted this to be. And I'm low key offended. But then on the other hand, I am thinking like, well, is this what we anticipate when it comes to dealing with um is this kind of the attitude that we're supposed to take in from men who kind of they want these women who are not, as business savvy or socially and or career oriented. Like I'm struggling with this show. But with that being said, we have this continued conversation. I'm gonna be honest, the only woman that I actually kind of like at this particular moment, the only woman that I'm kind of understanding at the moment is Jordan. The one that I absolutely am annoyed with is Bria. So, continued combo with Jordan, and then Jordan's explaining that she is very aware of what it means to be a woman, how it means to behave, what it means to be in these kind of spaces, which is unfortunate that you have to remind men that women are not just going out and not physically aware. Like they need to be told that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, New York is so dangerous and we need to make sure that they're, that you're not, there's, New York is so dangerous and it's not a good environment for women to be out after a certain time period. Sir, you are not any of these people's fathers. Like, and they're not minor children. Who needs this lecture? They've been adults longer. They've been alive in their body They've been raised. She's been single longer than she's been married. Like, you've been married for what, 2 years? Give me a break. Like, I cannot have that conversation. Um, Amir is really trying hard with Jordan. And I think Jordan likes Amir too. And she makes a mention that she likes Amir, but because he's attractive. But on the other hand, she like wants and anticipates something more for him, more from him, than just good looks. Jasmine and Silas, they're talking, and I did appreciate how behind closed doors, Jasmine's talking about like, Silas, if you had a problem with him, if you had a problem with Jordan, your problem is not with Jordan. You have a problem with me staying out late at night. Not a matter of who I'm staying out with. Like, you have a problem with me. This is a conversation you have with me, not with Jordan. I appreciate that. But Bravo, let me ask you a question. This is not MTV. Why are we seeing two people have sex? Like, I'm completely confused. Silas is talking about how, because he's aware that Jasmine lived by him, but on the streets, or living in the car for a certain amount of years, that he's completely focused on being financially sound because he doesn't want Jasmine to live in that same situation. I mean, that's great that you care that much about your spouse, and I think that's awesome. Amir and Jordan, they do this whole kayaking thing. He wants to have a romantic time. I love when he's like, I want to have our Titanic moment. They're like, Titanic sunk. He's like, those are just details. Okay. Um, Alex, Silence, and Nick, they're playing football. None of them know how to play basketball, which is funny. Nick is in the DMs to all the women in the house. As soon as he knew he was going to be getting on this TV show, he was hitting up everybody in the DM except Jasmine. And he's like, hey, we got to get the conversation started somewhere. Nick clearly is trying to hook up with somebody. And it was hilarious because when Shanice came, he's like, um, um, you don't look like you do on Instagram. And to be fair, it wasn't that much of a reach. He was like, it's not that bad. But I was like, okay. I love how Preston, I'm gonna play another way. Preston is giving his little snide remarks to everything. Preston this episode was really in the background, so that's kind of interesting. But Preston's like, Nick, everybody don't put their puts, everybody puts their best face forward on Instagram. Anyway, um, Alex is like, look, just because if there's not a woman here that we can't hook up with doesn't mean that all the women are just not in this house. There's other women on this vineyard. And he's like, there's butter everywhere. All different colors of Black women. I think it was sweet. They went bowling. Nick organized the whole bowling thing. I've never went bowling in a dress, but that's just me. Bria, I really love the dog cover carrier that you had. I thought it was really cute. She wants her boyfriend to come from Germany. He's like, I don't think that my boyfriend should just be coming from Germany for 3 days. That's kind of, a bit much. To be fair, that is a bit much. However, how to the ever, if he has that kind of money, then why not just come for 3 days? But you want him to stay a whole week. Here's the thing about I'm sorry, my daughter decides to print when I'm recording. Anyway, I love how the thing about guests are that people tend to overstay their welcome. Anywho, Mariah decides that she wants to have this moon mask What she's trying to explain it to these people. Let me look. Let me explain, Brian. Mariah, I appreciate that you want to share your culture. I really, really fundamentally do. But I'm gonna let you know this second, people are not sharing their culture, are not willing to share their culture, especially at they're literally drinking every single day. And the fact that you're thinking that people are going to be in this spiritual headspace is kind of foolish. And you're setting yourself up. You know why? You're setting yourself up. They're on Bravo. They're on vacation. They're drinking every day. No one's going to be able to do this cultural thing with you in good graces. And you're setting yourself up to get your feelings hurt. And lo and behold, what happened? She got her feelings hurt. And Preston gives her a hug and whatever. And so here we go. I love how they're like, look, I got a chapter meeting. And I was like, man, side note, I really wanted chapter meetings to stay Zoom / in person, but here's I'm in the minority. Anyway, Shanice joins the house. Shanice is looking at Alex like, that dude is going to be coming home into my room. So I'll be interested to see how that relationship goes. Jasmine is so corny. And Jasmine is getting on my nerves. And she does make a point. It's just that I think I've said this before. I say my husband this only because I don't feel like anybody like this, because saying his name, sorry about that. I say my husband this, my husband that, because saying his name all the time and then having to be like, well, who is that? It just makes life easier to be like my husband. So, but to have this whole thing, like, people don't talk about how your friendship changes after you get married. But see, here's the thing, your friendship changes in life in general. I think I'm gonna be honest, if you decide to have children and you have a baby, your friendships are going to be out the door too, especially if you're the only one in this crew who has a baby. And I think that this is a little different. It seems like Mariah is the only one who has a 7-year-old, but I feel like it becomes different when you get older and you have relationships with careers. When you get deep into your career and you're building your career, your friendship changes. It appears for me watching some of my more senior people, their friendships come back together once their kids are gone, once they their career is kind of at a place where they're kind of comfortable. But honestly, on your way up, you're grinding so much, you're working so much, you don't really have time to be hanging out as much as you. I mean, I think I see my friends maybe a few times a year, and we live in the same city. So, but I could do better, and he could do better. So there's that. Mariah gets upset that the dog towels are with the main towels for everybody. And Mariah decides that she pushes Bree. Now, Jordan is upset and Bree is upset at the pushing. I do think that the pushing was a bit overboard. But on the other hand, it wasn't as much as they're trying to make it. It was not a shove. It was a push, a barely push. And the issue, and honestly, the push wouldn't have happened if Bria wasn't so nonchalant. Just because it's your look, I love my dog. My dog is adorable. He's sitting right next to me. If I could reach him, I would get him for you. My dog is adorable. But that does not mean that everyone loves my dog like I love my dog. You hear me? And so the fact that Bria is forcing everyone to like this dog or to be around this dog is problem number one. And problem number two is, like, I'm gonna be honest. When my other half and I got back together, we broke up and I got my dog and we got back together. There was a lot of adjusting he had to do because he's like, I I was okay with my dog sleeping in the bed with me. So I was okay with my dog doing like having separate, like he had separate everything, right? He was like, he has to have a separate dish. He has to have a separate this. He has to have a separate, you handle dog food with a spoon. Like he was so particular. And I'm not saying that we do keep everything separate, but and I had everything separate before, but I can understand when you're not used to a dog and then all of a sudden you have to be around this dog. And I think that Bria was I know other people are playing this off, but it was disrespectful. Like it's inconsiderate what Bria is doing. And her nonchalant attitude is the thing that frustrates people. And so I'm not excusing Mariah shouldn't put her hands on anyone, but Bria's attitude is so disrespectful and is so annoying that I can totally understand the frustration. Bria is upset with Shanice because Shanice left her. And she felt that Shanice should have stayed with her in the midst of this argument. Aren't we grown? Are we supposed to all be friends anyway? Mostly? Anyway, so Jordan and Shanice, they go to there's dinner and then there's an after party. Jordan and Shanice make comments like, how old are these people? Anyway, so Bria's upset. Mariah gets there. She's having fun with Phil and Mariah, Mariah, Phil, and Preston come to the party. Bree becomes really upset because everyone's just gonna act like she didn't push her. I'm like, did she hit you? Hey, did she make you fall? Did you even go back? I'm just not into it. But Bria's attitude, man. Jordan does check Jasmine to be like, you need to check Mariah. I don't know what she expects of Jasmine to do. To tell Mariah to apologize? Is that what we're doing? Phil comes and he is really tall. And I can see that Phil and Mariah are going to be the one to hook up. And he's upset with Bria because he didn't save the room. And so this becomes a big thing. He lets Bria's dog out. I don't know if they put the dog back up. And he decides to poop in Nick's bathroom because he was like, it was supposed to be my bathroom in the first place, and he doesn't flush the toilet. So Nick is going to make this a who's bigger and bad moment. And he's going to do this by trying to force Phil to flush the toilet. And Phil's like, I'm not flushing the toilet. I told you I took a poop in the toilet. So Nick keeps shading Phil about his apparel, like who dresses this way, who's, I can't take you seriously because, like, look at what you looking like. And Phil really is getting extra. Alex is like, sitting on the couch. He's kind of responding like to this whole hoopla which makes sense because Alex and Nick are frat brothers. So Alex is going to side with Nick. Phil gets all in his feelings. I have no idea what Phil was trying to say about slavery. I don't get that at all. Amir is like, look, he tries. I thought he was going to cool it down, but then he amps it up. And I'm gonna be honest, because Phil's so tall, he makes Amir look so small. And that's where we cut off. And the show needs to pick it up.